So I just want to talk about something that God had been placing on my heart a lot recently, and things that He has been warning, and it's as a warning. Do not be deceived. Do not be deceived. Do not be deceived. And that has been coming up more than I would like lately. So I know that it's not just for me. So the do not be deceived. So this can mean a few different things. And so for me, it meant I do not be deceived by allowing the enemy to get into my emotional space. I have gotten I'm in a time in my life where God has my emotions very controlled. So I'm not just like emotionally doing things. I'm not easily moved by things emotionally, if that makes sense. So one of the things that God was revealing to me is like, do not be deceived in my emotions. My husband and I, we just had a situation recently where he felt disrespected by something that I totally meant no disrespect by. And then the same thing happened the following day, just a different situation. And he felt that I was being disrespectful. And one thing is that my husband has never lost my respect in no kind of way. So for us to be experiencing that and having that situation, it was just kind of a shocker, right? Because, both of us, we're so very close knit, and we haven't had many arguments. So when we do have a disagreement or an argument or something, we're just all discombobulated, right? And so I had to go through a season to where so I'm gonna get to that anyways, but so emotionally, that was just a thing that the enemy was trying to come in and find a way into my husband's emotions to get both of our emotions all over the place, right? And so my husband ended up having to check himself. We just go into prayer. We kind of go into prayer, and God revealed some things to my husband, and he was able to just kind of check himself. And that's one thing that I truly appreciate is that we have a relationship with God where we're always willing to check ourselves first. But yeah, so anyways, but the do not be deceived portion is do not be deceived. Do not allow the enemy to come and stir up emotions that God has given you self-control over, that God has given you control over, that God has delivered you from certain triggers and certain issues. Do not be deceived and allow the enemy to kick those issues or those emotions back up. Do not be emotionally deceived. Now, the next thing is where I had to go through a season that if my husband would get upset, I would instantly get upset. I would take on those emotions, and then I would be walking around with those emotions, carrying those emotions, and so God had to get me to a point to where I can control my emotions in the sense of being, well, I won't say emotions this time, I'll say energy. And so God had been getting me to a space to where even if my husband was not sitting right, or if I walked into somebody's house, and y'all know how when y'all go into a space and the energy is just thick and it's just tension in there, and you just kind of feel it, and then your mood starts to change. You start getting irritable, and you start feeling a certain type of way. So God had to get me through. So this past season of my life, I had to go through a season to where I can discern the emotions that's going on, and discern the feelings and everything that's going on without actually carrying it, taking it on and carrying it, if that makes sense. So that was another thing. So do not be deceived to where you're taking on emotions and energy that isn't yours, or in a space that you're in. And then also do not be deceived by the blessing. So God is continuously bringing this up. It's like, do not be deceived. Do not be so deceived by the blessing that we forget to give God the glory, that we take our eyes off God and we worship the blessing more than we worship God. So these were some of the things that God was putting in my spirit, and some of the questions that I was answered for me as to, like, what does that mean? What does it mean? Do not be deceived. Okay, the false prophecies and things like that. There's going to be voices that's being raised up in this time that's going against you, praying against you versus praying for you. There's going to be voices in this time and in this season. So just do not be deceived. Do not allow the enemy any room to try to penetrate what it is that you've been working on, the perfect work that God has, that God has formed and shaped in you and molded in you. Do not allow that good and perfect work to be penetrated by the enemy, because we are losing sight of what it is that, or we're losing sight of how far we've come, or we're losing sight of our emotional control, and allowing the enemy to allow us to be set back and go back into a place where God just delivered us from and released us from. All right, so I pray that this message has blessed you guys, and I love you guys, and I hope to that you guys will check out more of my content. Make sure that you follow me, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I just appreciate you guys. All right, worshipers, be blessed.